Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the AI Automations podcast. I'm super excited to have today's guest with us. We have Molly Mahoney with us. She also goes by the Prepared Performer. If you have seen her online, I know I come by her ads like at least twice a day. So she focuses on social selling, and she does a lot of cool stuff with different AI tools, linking them together, combining with GHL. And she's here to speak to us today all about how to AI-ifying every single step of your business. Her audience has reached over 1 million people actually organically. She's been at this for a long time. And she has developed her signature go live and monetize method, which she's going to talk about today. And as a fun fact, she is also is it opera singer or
musical theater, more musical theater and jazz. I could bust out some opera, like that's definitely possible, but more musical theater than anything.
physical theater, and she is just a joy to be around with. We met at a conference a couple of years ago, and I'm super excited to now have her on the podcast. So thank you, Molly, for being here today.
So grateful to be here, and you're such a wizard, so I know we're going to do really cool things.
Thanks. So, can you kind of explain, how are you using AI in your business? Because I know you have a new methodology coming out called AI-ifying your business, which is looking at AI in every step of the business. Can we talk about that at a high level first, and then start diving down into it?
Sure. So we actually started teaching AI back in 2021, and we launched our AI content club way back then to help people to be able to use these tools to create high converting content that brings in more of your ideal clients. But what we realized a couple of years ago is that the content piece is only one sliver of the puzzle. So we've actually had our AIFI your business system since 2023 is when we really started digging deep into the fact that it goes into every aspect of your business. And so now we've taken our social selling circle, which we can talk a little bit more about, and we infuse AI all along the way, recognizing that if we don't first start with who you are as a human being, the AI doesn't matter. If we don't first start with who you're speaking to, that is a human being on the other side, the AI doesn't matter. And it's been really fun and really powerful. So excited.
Yeah, amazing. So let's talk about the content club. I know you and I have been in the AI game for a long time, but some people are just starting. How do you create content with AI that's unique and doesn't sound like GPT just wrote it in 2 seconds?
Right? It doesn't sound like a treasure trove of game-changing
Yeah,
content that will skyrocket your business. So
yeah.
now that we've been using AI, for a couple of years, it's like we've noticed that there are certain words that are just a dead giveaway that it was written by a robot. So before we remove all those words, we start with figuring out who you are as a human being. And we season our AI assistant with several different uh, frameworks that we use to collect this information from you or from our clients, right? And then we put that all back into the AI tool to give it more authenticity, really, and more direction. Just like you would do if you were onboarding a new team member who is going to show up and create anything for you. You don't want to just give them like the facts about the business in terms of the features and the benefits. We want to give them really who are you as a human. So our content club is our program where we meet once a month and we create a month of content. And I we were joking around yesterday because the promise on the sales page actually says in under 2 hours. But now we've got it so dialed in that you could create a month of content in like 5 minutes, literally, once you've already generated this. I know it's so cool.
Wow.
So
Well, can you tell us
I know.
more about that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
I'll
mean,
tell you.
how many blog posts, how many videos are
Oh,
you?
yeah. So we start by figuring out who you are as a human. We figure out who your ideal client is. And then what we do is we identify the buying beliefs that they need to have in order to purchase from you. So everything that we're doing is instilling these buying beliefs. And the buying beliefs, there's loads of them, but I'll just give you like 5 that we focus on, which is why me, meaning why the ideal client. And that's separate from the service that you provide.
Mhm.
So if you are helping people to create content, for example, that solves the problem of lead generation, solves the problem of, converting those leads into sales because content can really help to do that. But there's a lot of different types of solutions for that. So we want to start before we even get to that. What does the human being want or need? So that's the why me. Then why this, meaning why the type of service or product that you're providing, why you, meaning why you, the business owner, or why you, the person who is delivering the service or representing the brand.
Mhm.
And then why now, meaning why in terms of where we're at in the world. And so when we have those things in place, that's the four of them. And then the fifth one is why not. So this is like objections, and we can use the content to squish objections so that they're more likely to buy. And what
Right.
we do is we create a whole week of content based on one belief. So that one piece of content will be a video, a blog post, engaging questions. We now started using, instead of calling it a tweet, we call it a Barnum statement. Do you know what a Barnum statement is?
Why not? What is that?
Okay, Josh Beechcraft taught me this. We were on the marketers cruise, and I love this so much. So it's basically PT Barnum would speak in a way, or he had like this knack, I guess, for creating messages that were very wide, that made everyone feel like, oh, that message is for me. But then they were very specific. So it made people feel like, oh, that message is just for me. So no, it's a very wide and generic message at the same time. So wide and specific message at the same time. So if you think about like a fortune cookie or like astrology, like when you're reading your horoscope, it's like, oh my gosh, that's for me, right? That's what we want to do with our marketing. So we include a Barnum statement in there, and then we'll do like inspirational Barnum statements, and then we'll do like snarky, funny Barnum statements. So we get all of this content that's created based on one belief, and
Mhm.
that can be a week of content that can be scheduled ahead of time and go out to your people.
And then how exactly do you create this content? Like, is it sorry, that's a bad question to ask. I meant what tools do you use to create this content?
Yeah, so we start with an AI chat, or we also have a whole tool called AIFI that we've built, that we have integrated within our high level. So our members can go into Star Funnels, which is our white labeled version of high level, and they can click a button that makes it happen. Um, I also have a custom GPT that I use for myself that has the whole system inside that custom GPT. So basically, we're writing the copy for it. And
Mhm.
even like for the video, it does the title, the intro hook, the description, the bullet points, and the CTA. This is all in one prompt. So we
Right.
put this one super prompt, is what we call it. Your super prompt goes in, and then it gives you a table with all of the copy. And
Mhm.
then you come in and you zhuzh it as a human. And then from there, we're using like Canva for a lot of it. We're using, um, we do a lot of live videos. So we'll go live once, we suggest that our clients go live once a week. And then
Mhm.
that can be repurposed into the blog post using AI, or a tool like Opus and a script to then divide that video into smaller pieces of content.
Ah, okay. So are you posting content every single day though then
Yeah.
on platforms? Wow.
Yeah. And so we have there's a mix between the two different types of content that we're putting out. One is pre-scheduled ahead of time, that's evergreen content. And so we have a framework for 5 different posts a day, or not a day. Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
Yeah.
We're not doing 5 posts a day. 5 posts a week that
Okay.
are scheduled out ahead of time. And then if that's like overwhelming and you don't want to do 5 posts, we have something called the 3-step social shuffle, that's just 3 posts a week if you want to take a more streamlined approach.
Got it. So basically, you're using ChatGPT with a special prompt to write all of your content. And what I like about what you say is not just because, like, so many people in social just use their post be like, write an Instagram post for a gym, write an Instagram post for a realtor, but you really dig into at the end user and not use AI for the sake of AI. So I really like that. And then
Yeah.
and so, okay, so you first have your prompt, and then you nail down the problem. Then you get the 3 to 5 post on ChatGPT, and then you bring that to Canva to create an image, right? And then
Yeah, so that's for different types. So like for the Barnum statements, for example, once we have that table inside ChatGPT, we take all the Barnum statements that came out for
yeah,
that month, or you could do like 3 months of Barnum statements in advance, right?
oh, yeah.
And then you have those go out once a week, and so you can take that as a CSV and bulk upload it into Canva and bulk create all of the quote cards or whatever you would call it,
Mhm.
um, or faceless reels. Like you can use things like that inside Canva to bulk create, and it
Yeah.
will create 30 of them at once, 160 of them at once. It's seriously wild.
Wow, that's amazing. And then what do you use to automatically post that into Instagram and Facebook,
Yeah.
etc.?
So with that, there's two tools that we're mainly using. One is if you're using high level and so like in star funnels, you could do it there. I actually personally use Metricool because Metricool has these auto lists.
Okay.
Metricool and Smarter Q are both the two tools that I love that have this, where you can um, put like 45, we have 45 reels in one auto list, and then they'll just keep posting. And if it gets to the end of those 45 reels, then it'll just repeat them.
That's super cool. Thank you
Yeah.
for thank you for those tips. Now, okay, so you really nailed down on the content part 2 years ago in 2021, and then you noticed that it wasn't producing as much results as you wanted for your clients because, as you said, like content is just one portion of any kind of business. So talk to me about how you kind of got to the next level.
Yes. So what we realized was like that's just one piece of the puzzle, right? To generate the content. And there were some of our members were not actually making offers after creating that content. And
Mm.
so we actually launched a brand new program in 2022, maybe called Social Sales Stars. And so in this program, what we've done is we've added in AI to every aspect of the business. So I'll give you one little example. So if we have content that we're creating, we have people engaging on this content, we then want to instill an opportunity for us to move them into a conversation. So the way that you can do this is like, we invite them. Let me give you, we have lots of different examples, but one is let's say we're going to do a masterclass or a webinar or a workshop once a month. That's part of our system is that you have a leveraged offer once a month. And so this leveraged offer, we host them inside a Facebook group, or we'll do it on Zoom or whatever webinar platform you want to use. And then we have a pop-up Facebook group as the like community that is only available for a small amount of time when that webinar is still available live, like live in the replay. So it's like available for about a week. What's
Okay.
really cool about this is when they request to join the group, all of the information that they give us in those questions, like when you join a group, how you have to answer questions,
Okay. Yep.
all of that is connected to a separate tool that then brings them forward into our CRM, which connects with high level. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Um, maybe you had to explain that again.
Okay. So when they answer, and just to make sure, when you join a Facebook group, you have to
More
there's
questions.
three
Yeah.
questions that you can ask. We
Yep.
always ask, what's your email? And
Mhm.
then we'll ask like, in a pop-up group, we'll ask, what's your biggest struggle with this type of thing that we're doing? And
Yep.
what are you hoping to get out of this? Right. So we're getting two pieces of market research from that. The other thing for us, we'll ask like what's your monthly revenue? Is
Right.
another question that we'll ask. So we get those answers to the questions, but it feels very organic. It doesn't feel like you're doing an application or something like that because it's all inside a group.
Yeah.
Well, we use a tool called Group Track. When they join the group, automatically their answers are put into a spreadsheet and added into
Uh,
high level.
through CRM. That's
Yeah.
smart. So then you can go back and email them if you need to contact them.
Well, and then we have pipelines in there that are based on the client journey.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
Tell me more.
once they join, they're in our we have a pipeline specifically for groups. They're in the stage of the client journey as they're moving from cold to warm to hot to buying, right?
Right.
From awareness to consideration to purchase to retention. This is now they're in that consideration phase because they've joined our group. So
Okay.
now they're in this joined group stage.
Mhm.
And then we move them. We have different stages we move them through till they watch the masterclass and then following up after the masterclass to make sure that they're more likely to convert.
Ah, that's interesting. But that part is not
That
exactly
part's not AI
AI.
though. Yeah.
Okay. No, that
So
is
that part's there. That's like the system, right? Then
okay.
where AI, so thank you for catching that. Because then where AI comes in is twofold. So, first of all, when they give us all that information, we
Yeah.
then put that back into AI
Mhm.
and we use it for a few different things. One is we get way more dialed in marketing copy because we're using their words.
That
Make
is
sense?
so smart.
It's really good. So
That
we
is
take like, I'll take everything they're struggling with and I say, what's the common, like, please categorize. I'll do it in a table. I'll say, put these in a table with the categories or with the headers, name, name, problem, and then category. So it'll say like sales, social media, like whatever their actual problems are, confidence,
right.
systems. It'll put a category for it. And
Yeah.
then we can analyze what's the biggest struggle of the people in our community.
Wow.
Just really good.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then when you do the masterclass, you bring their actual words into your training. So it's like within right away, we're able to bring that in.
Wow. That is genius. I
It's
have
really
that
cool.
I should have done that like yesterday. Yeah, but okay, what was the second thing? That's a
Okay. So then, and there's one other thing we're doing. I'm going to give you two more actually, because there's
okay.
two more that are really cool. So another thing that we'll do, we can do this with that information, or what I actually love to do is inside the group, I'll do a giveaway.
Mhm.
And the giveaway, all they have to do in order to be entered to win, like an Amazon gift card or a call with me or a mini course or whatever we're doing,
Mhm.
an audit of their situation. To enter to win the giveaway, they ask questions below the post. And so when they ask those questions, we've created an entire AI podcast based on those questions.
What do you wait, how do you create an entire AI podcast?
Okay. Are you ready for it? It's so cool. So it's called the Content Club Podcast.
Okay.
You can go search for the Content Club Podcast, and it's all AI. So basically, we take the questions, we put it into ChatGPT, and we say, categorize these questions with name, question, and answer in my voice, because it's all seasoned with my voice and my information.
Oh,
So
so
it will actually, what?
you do that in 11 Labs or
Well, at first, it will do it in ChatGPT to actually answer it in text form. Then we have a template. We actually just hosted an in-person event where everybody did this in person with us, and they all had a podcast created by the time the day was done. It was so cool.
wow.
So what they'll do from there, they take that answer, then that goes into a new prompt in ChatGPT that writes the full script. So the script is like, welcome to the Content Club podcast, where we combine your your weird with, or we combine AI with, I don't remember exactly what it says, but something like, we combine the power of AI with your human authenticity. Today we have a question from Julie. Julie asks, and then it says her question, and then it answers it all in my voice, because then we take that script and we put it into 11 Labs.
Wow. Is that insane?
It's so cool.
Yeah, and then you send it back to the person who asked or
Well, and so then that, like, we can send it back to the person who asks. What we'll do with the people who ask is I'll actually reach out and like see where they're at and move them forward through, like, we have setters, and we don't call them setters, but we have community managers and like specialists who reach out to chat there. And it can be like, this is the episode that was for you, right? Because then it feels like a more customized, like, oh my gosh, guess what? This is your episode. You
right.
know, like
Wow.
Pat Flynn.
Yep.
So on the Ask Pat podcast, I had a question that was featured, and I was like so honored. This is, years and years ago, but it was so exciting to hear my question on there. So that develops that connection point. And
Mhm.
then at the end of the podcast episodes, they're only like 2 minutes long. We have a little bit of human Molly where it's just like inserted in really easily, where it's my actual human voice. And it says like, hey, this is Molly. That was all AI. So we're not lying about the fact that it was AI. And then
Right.
we send them to the content club.
Wow. That's genius.
That's
That
cool,
is
right?
that is really cool. That is really cool. And what is the third thing?
Okay. The third one is when they, throughout this process, we also have little micro courses that we're selling before we make our official offer to join Sales Stars or Glam or whatever it is that they maybe can join. When anyone purchases, so now we've gone through awareness, consideration. Now we're in the purchase phase,
Mhm.
right? In the purchase phase, everyone who purchases something from us
Mhm.
gets a text message that says, it's an automated text message that says, hey, did you get access? And this
Right.
really is like a customer service thing more than anything, to make sure that they're actually getting into the course portal that they purchased.
Right.
And then when they write back, we have an AI assistant that talks to them in text message form.
Yeah. You still got an AI chatbot.
Yeah.
So
So it's an AI chatbot that
that's
responds via,
conversation AI. basically?
No, we're actually using Max AI for that right now.
Okay.
I think it's a little newer. They had a really great full onboarding process where they built it with us, and now the whole thing is set up. So it integrates with high level, and then it has a specific objective, but it's basically just making sure people are cared for as soon as possible. And then we have a team member, a real human team member who's there from 9 a.m. till 2 Pacific time. So it's like she's managing it. And then I keep an eye on it, or other team members keep an eye on it. We have a real person who's there, but in between, because
Yep.
we're not working 24 hours a day, the
Yep.
AI assistant is helping to make sure that things get handled in between.
So it basically the AI is the off hour, like when there's no one
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
okay, that's okay. So basically, whenever someone even gives you as little as $1, they
Oh, yeah. Even we have like a coupon code that people can buy something for free. So as long as they go through that process, even if they purchase it for free, like what I do when I speak, for example, is I'll speak on stage and then I'll say, go to my Instagram, which is that prepared performer, and message me with the word human. When they message me on Instagram with the word human, it triggers a messenger bot, not an AI messenger bot, just a regular messenger bot. And then, yeah, with ManyChat. And then they click to get access to a little, it's my top 100 posts. I have that in a course. They can get it for free. So they get the coupon code in Instagram. When they use that coupon code and get it for free, we have that whole process in place.
Okay, and then they can just keep texting you and
Yeah.
uh, get their answers answered with AI. That's super cool.
Yeah. It's really fun.
Yeah, we
And
build a
then,
yeah.
oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. So that's
Oh,
like that's the first three steps of the client journey that we have dialed in.
okay, let's just do a quick recap before we go on. Well,
Okay.
the oh shoot, the first one was the podcast. The second one was the AI chatbot, and then what was the third one?
Well, so the first one was actually when they joined the Facebook group.
Oh, right.
It's
I
that
remember
market research piece to
right.
get their actual right. So we're bringing them into the Facebook group when they answer those questions. We're using that for market research to be able to create more powerful marketing messaging,
Perfect.
right? And that helps with the next people that we want to bring in. So that really helps on the awareness side.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then the podcast stuff is where we do for the consideration phase in there. And then I also use it for Q&As. We use that for all kinds of things that we're using it for there. And then the third one was the actual follow-up, which is more on the sales side.
Perfect. So so you basically like do micro offers first, like less than $20,
It's
$100.
like, yeah, 47. It's under $100 for
Yeah,
sure.
under $100, and then you got them on a micro sale, and then you can start texting them, and you got the AI to respond with them. So okay, so once you get to that point, how do you get to the higher ticket offers?
Yeah. So this is where then they're coming back into the masterclass where we're offering the higher ticket offers, or our whole system is really based on the fact that you don't need to have sales calls. And so we'll do most of our conversions happen via messenger or via text message. So like one time I was getting my nails done and I welcomed in a new $25,000 client with one finger. Like
Wow.
while getting my nails done, I was just like, "Doot, doot, 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 doot." So
Wow.
we have a system where via chat that's very, it's low pressure, but it's really letting them know, like, if this is where you could be supported, like if this kind of support would help you, here's an invitation. And then we send a very simple Google Doc that they can review and then join from there.
Okay. Tell us more about that process and like what that looks like.
Yeah. So we have an application. If anyone wants to work with us, they fill out an application. And then on the thank you page from that application, it says, go chat with Molly. And so we've done this both where they chat with me, or we also sometimes do it via ManyChat, depending on my schedule. And at
Okay.
that point, we have a process for a conversation that's, like I said, like super easy. And it's really just pre qualifying to make sure it's a good fit.
Yeah.
And then because all of our content is so specifically geared to instill the beliefs or to like to attract or detract people, they're already really they've like already made a decision before they come there because they know whether or not they're going to want our weird, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So the content instills, it shares the value that we have, it instills authority. There's a whole like, we're instilling those buying beliefs. And then like I said, some people see our content and it lets them know they're not a good fit for us. And that's great. Right. So then the right people fill out an application, we have a little conversation, and then we either invite them in right there or we would send them to a lower ticket option depending on what's best for them. And then in the masterclass, we welcome people into our higher level things.
Wow. Wow, that's really exciting. That's
Yeah.
and then in your high ticket, that's when you walk people step by step on how to set up their own AI system.
Yeah, and social selling. So we've switched. We used to say that we had 2 masterminds, but we've actually changed it that our more entry level mastermind is actually, we're calling it an implementation coaching program now, because we recognize that so many programs out there are just giving you more information and more information and more information, and we want people to implement. So we have 5 calls available every week so they can hop on office hours every day and actually get things done.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Um, what I like about what you do is that you're combining traditional marketing with AI. So you're not using AI for the sake of AI, which is what I'm seeing a
Yeah.
lot that people are doing. Here's a prompt, just use it. But you have
Yeah.
a whole system
Yeah.
around it. And that's what I really like about what you're doing. Moving on here. Lost my train of thought.
Well, and
Uh,
with what you just said in mind, like that's like the circle that we have is like, that's the awareness, consideration, purchase, retention. But in the middle of the circle is kind of what we talked about in the beginning, is that you really have to figure out your unique differentiator. And if you don't figure that piece out, that's where you get into the problem that you were just mentioning, where you're just using AI for the sake of using AI. And especially at this point, that does not work. Like maybe that worked back when, in December of whatever that was, 2022, when people first started figuring out that AI existed, when ChatGPT
yeah,
came out. But now it's so oversaturated and there's so many people claiming to be AI experts that you've got to be careful. Like, I think you have such a unique approach to the way that you're using AI, and the things that I've heard you share about it. It's like very systematic, and it's like it's with intention and purpose, not just because you can.
right. Right. Yeah, we do more custom AI builds. So we build
Mhm.
AI agents, entire AI workforces now, uh,
Yeah,
very advanced AI chatbots. So we kind of took the agency approach to AI with
yeah.
services. Um, so you talked about figuring out your voice. That's a really hard thing to do. It's easier said than done. Do you have some tips for people on how they could do that?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have 2 things that we do in the beginning. We have a series of prompts that we go through that helps to really dial it in, but there's 2 pieces specifically that I think most people miss. And I remember last year I was sitting with Jeff Hunter at an event, and he's really like all about these like personalities. But
Mhm.
I explained our exercise, which is called the quesadilla of awesome. I told him about the quesadilla of awesome, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I never thought about putting those things into AI. I'm so excited to be able to incorporate that." So what it is, it's really figuring out 20 things that makes you a uniquely awesome human being. And so we have a framework that we use for this, but you can use those 20 things
Yeah.
to consolidate like a bio really that can tell AI like these are the things that make me unique as a human, separate from our brand.
Mm,
Even things like what do you wear? And if there's certain ways that you dress, if there's certain ways, like if you're listening to this, I don't know if you're listening or watching this in the podcast episode, but it's a little faded right now. But I usually have like purple and blue streaks in my hair. Like there's certain things, like you mentioned the musical theater piece at the beginning. Those are things that are unique to me as a weird human that
mhm,
help to create that stickiness.
mhm.
And so that's where we find these like little human triggers. They're like authenticity indicators. As Rachel Miller, I think, calls them authenticity indicators. And when we identify those things, we start to create a community that understands who we are as people, which has a completely different stick rate than a community that's just based on a specific tool or a feature. You know?
Right. Yeah, that's absolute yeah. Yeah, I think you nailed it with that one. Um, now a big part of my audience said they don't wanna start their own business,
Okay.
using AI. So how can they still use this kind of system, but maybe like a lot of them just wanna work for someone. like for an
Okay.
agent?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good. So actually, we were talking about on my team as a company, we have something that we teach our clients to have a value statement, which is really a clear explanation of what it is that you do. Like, I help experts and entrepreneurs to create high converting content that leads to sales without fancy funnels or ads, right? And then like we do this with our XYZ method. That's like a value statement. But one of my team members, Stephanie, she was like, you know what? I'm going to have everybody on our team write the value statement for themselves. Like, what do they bring to the table? And if you're looking to be hired by a, a, a company, they're going to hire a human being. They're not going to hire you just based on your skill sets. They're going
Mhm.
to hire you based on the energy that you bring to the table as well.
Mhm.
And we love this company called Hire My Mom. Do you know that company?
I do, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we've hired amazing people through there. And at one point, there was someone that we hired who was so awesome, and I would recommend her to anyone, but it just wasn't a good fit in terms of like how we energetically interact as a team. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep, I've had those.
Yeah. And I some of the skill sets that she was bringing was like a not quite in alignment with what we were doing, but even more than that, I don't ever want to feel like a couple years ago, we used to have a thing where I would sometimes feel that when I came to a team call, I was like tiptoeing and not feeling like I could really be myself on my own team calls, even though it's my company, because we hadn't fully identified like our team culture. And so you've got to find the people that match that team culture as well. And so if you're looking to be on somebody else's team, you want to figure out who you are so that you know what type of team you want to be on.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I guess like to dive into that a bit more, a lot of people are like, okay, so I learned how to use Descript, I learned how to use Midjourney, I learned how to use ChatGPT, but why? And what kind of job opportunities are out there? I don't want to start.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, what's the problem that you solve? So the job opportunities are changing. Like there used to be a really big need for a content curator, which is someone who basically like there's a repurposing service that you could offer, right?
Mhm.
Um and I mean straight up like AI officer is a really good position where you can tell a company that you can help them to optimize all of their systems using AI. And so if you can come in and audit the current processes that they have, and now because you're listening to this podcast or you've, really honed in your skill sets, you can then have when I was a vocal coach years and years ago, I used to teach singing lessons and there's so many things that I could teach about singing. Like and I mean, I could teach singing lessons and teach something new every day for at least a month and have a brand new lesson to teach, right?
Yeah.
The point of it is that I was showing my students how to have a vocal coloring box. So a coloring box has lots of different colors in it, right? You need to have your own AI toolkit so that you can come to a company and say, hey, what's your goal? Hey, what's stopping you from hitting that goal? And how can AI help to bring your challenges and your goals closer together so that the challenges start to go away?
Okay. Can you give one example of that? Just
Yeah. So if we had, this is like super random, but my kids go to a French immersion school. So I don't speak French. They now do because they go to this French immersion school. So um, the school wants to bring in more students. However, once you get to like fifth and sixth grade, it's really past third grade. Kids can't join unless they already speak fluent French,
yeah.
right? So you could come to the school and be like, okay, what's your goal? The school wants to bring in more kindergarten students. And so then as an AI officer, you can look at, okay, what have you done so far to bring in more kindergarten students? And then you look at what they've done, you look at like the client journey, and you can find the holes that can be fixed with AI.
Because you are actually understood the whole landscape of like,
Exactly.
so is it their outreach that's not going, like, are you reaching enough parents? Do parents
Correct.
have the belief that, their kids can't learn French and whatever it is, and then you create either more outreach or more content to destroy, like, limiting beliefs that
Exactly. And I think for someone who's looking to do this with AI, you do need to pick like a lane of some sort, because you could be doing like data optimization. There's so many different things that you could do. Um, a really easy way that I see for it is using the selling circle that we use. For us, it's social media based, like the social selling circle. But within that, you could take so many different you could focus just on the lead gen piece of it and help them use AI to bring in more potential leads. But then you're going to end up in the same place that we were at with the content club, which is like, okay, now that they have the leads, how do they convert them?
right, 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 and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And
We
and
we have a framework that we teach in our Sales Stars program, which is like the levels of transformation that you can provide. And I think whatever niche or lane you're focused on, there's like a path that they go through from some sort of an assessment where you see, what are we even dealing with here? With after that assessment, you bring them awareness. So they're like, okay, now I understand what the problem is.
mm,
Clarity after that awareness, like I see it, now I'm clear about what it is, and then some sort of plan. After they have that plan, there's implementation. After they implement, there's review. And then that review is actually an assessment. So that brings you all the way back to the beginning.
right, 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 very, yeah, very, very, yeah, very smart. And you had to kind of like, it's not just about knowing these tools, but how do you achieve end results with that, you
Yeah.
know?
And how do you identify what the end result target or goal of your client is? And how can you solve that problem? Because I think a lot of people get so excited about what the tools can do, and they're like just reviewing tools like, this is so cool. And I've seen this happen with high level a lot. We hired someone to help us with high level at one point, and all she would do would be like, oh my gosh, it's so cool, you can text an invoice to someone. Like, why would I want to text an invoice to someone? I just want to get their credit card information on the phone.
Yeah,
But they're like, no, you can text the invoice. I'm like, that is probably solving someone's problem, but it's not solving my problem.
right,
You know,
right,
features are features on, they don't mean anything unless they actually are tied to a specific strategic implication.
right, 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 right. Right. Amazing. Amazing. Last question. Well, maybe last two questions for you. Creating content is one thing, but actually getting people to watch it is another thing. So how do you get
Yeah.
those eyeballs on
Okay.
on
That's a really good question. And as I feel like I am saying, like a record, we have a framework for that. So
you have a framework, right?
I do have a framework for everything. So the framework that we use is called the social triangle. And this is how you really work within these social media platforms in order to get the most visibility.
Mhm.
So the first thing is like we've talked about 1,000 times today, you have to know who you are and you have to actually show up. If you are not, like, LinkedIn, for example, I have content that is scheduled to go out on LinkedIn, but if I don't ever actually log into the platform, it's not going to do much for me.
Mm.
So
Yep.
whether it's you or a team member, someone needs to log in on that platform. So you have to show up, and then you need to know where your ideal clients are spending time. So are they spending time um we've been shouting out high level a lot. So like, are they hanging out in the high level Facebook group? Are they spending time at the local coffee shop? Are they, at a soccer field? Are they in like following a specific hashtag on Instagram? Where are they spending time? Are they on TikTok? Figure that out and then go there. So like, go and actually interact with them on those platforms, because that will tell the algorithm, oh, we should show more of your content to those types of people because you're interacting with those types of people.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
sometimes it seems like people are like, oh, that's like a waste of time. But no, it's actually feeding data to the platform to tell you who to send your content to.
Right.
So,
Right.
and you can have a team member do that, or that's another thing you could do for someone, is like help with their social engagement. So
Mhm.
engaging on those platforms. And then the final thing is we have to give the platform what it actually wants. And what they want is to be TikTok.
Oh.
Right? Because
Okay.
TikTok has figured out the attention piece. They figured out how to keep people on the platform longer. And a lot of times, like if someone wants to build their YouTube channel, they'll take the YouTube link and they'll share it on Facebook. That's not going to get much reach. So, what we want to do is don't share links on these social media platforms, encourage engagement in order to get access to something.
Hmm.
So, say if like a messenger bot on Instagram is a perfect example. Like, if you want my,
Law.
um, yeah, XYZ, write this word below and we'll send it to you via messenger.
Right.
That's upping the organic reach because it's upping the engagement.
Right. Right. Right.
And so the
Right.
more you encourage conversation, like two examples. One, I did a post a couple weeks ago that was just like, how did we meet? It
Hmm.
has like 600 comments on it. It's crazy.
Hmm.
On Facebook, we did a post that was like, what did you want to be as a kid? What did you want to be when you grew up? So
Hmm.
many comments on our business page. So if you give your people a chance to be able to talk about what matters to them, that can be really helpful.
Hmm. Perfect. Perfect. AI can seem, last question for you. AI
Okay.
really, actually, last two, I lied. I know I just said that. AI can seem really intimidating to a lot of people because there's so many different facets and there's so many ways you can skin the cat. So for someone starting out, what would your advice be? Um,
Okay, this is going to go back to like I have a BFA, like a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater. And so this is going back to the most important thing that I learned while getting my BFA, which is to play. So if
Mhm.
you come into this from a place of like, I'm doing business and now I'm going to use AI, you're not going to get as much awesome as you will if you come into this like, oh, I now have a buddy, I have a partner, I have an imaginary friend who can actually help me on this stuff. So it's really like you've now created your own team that can help you to get better results. And if you play into that and really speak to these AI tools like you would to an actual human, you're going to get way better results than if you're like, why isn't it reading my mind? Most people are trying to get AI to read their mind. It doesn't do that. It may feel like it does that, but it doesn't actually do that yet.
Yet. Right. Right. Okay. Hmm.
That'd be the first place I would start. And then don't get overwhelmed by, or don't get actually not even overwhelmed. Don't be enticed. Don't be like hoodwinked into thinking that you need to use every tool or be an expert on every tool. Use the tool. The best tool out there is the one that you actually use. You know what? I saw someone sent me a podcast, like a snippet of a podcast episode yesterday, and he said that it was Ryan Holiday's podcast, and he said he heard a quote somewhere that was, this is like bad because I don't use this word, but it was like only stupid people ask about the tools or care about the tools,
Yeah. It's about
which
the,
I don't. What?
he's going to say it's about the results, not the
Well,
tools.
well, it's like the process is more important than even like, right, the result matters, but like you can probably get the same result with a bunch of different tools like
Hmm.
Video, Opus, InVideo, whatever, Pictory,
Yeah.
Descript, all of those will give you similar results at some point.
Right.
But if you get so concerned about which is the perfect tool, you're never actually going to implement because you're so busy spending all this time figuring out which tool is best.
Right. Right. I can see
So
that.
and
Yeah.
now I do think, obviously, if you're like a wood carver, you need to know which tools are best. And so we should sharpen our tools and we should stay on top of it, but not at the detriment of actually implementing and bringing in results.
Right. 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 100%.
Yeah.
So true. So true. Okay. And now the last question I promise for you is where do you see AI going in the next year, 5 years? Oh my gosh, like even 10 years from now.
I mean,
And
the craziest thing is like the place that everyone thought it would be 5 years from now, it was at yesterday. So like, it's moving at such a rapid pace.
it
I
is.
think there's two things that are really important to keep in mind. One is it is going to, and it already has been, fully integrated into everything that we're doing. So it's just becoming more of like a constant, even like with the Gemini updates that happened recently.
Yep.
I read somewhere that Google actually has the ability to release their updates more quickly than they are. But if they released everything right now, it would freak people out. So they're purposely slowing it down to get us comfortable with it before the AI takes over.
Wow.
which
Wow.
is cool and weird. I also think the second thing is that, speaking of weird, it's more important than ever to really be doubling down on the human aspect, because if we're so focused on the automation and the AI, like, we want to use that to scale, but the people who actually are here for the long haul, the people who really have the longevity and the sustainability, are those people who put humans first. And so really making sure that we have experiences happening in our programs, if you're working as a coach or even as a service-based business, that you're doing something that incorporates that human touch and the human experience and the feelings that we get, as opposed to making everything automated.
That's amazing advice. Seeing AI as a tool to help you run your business better, but not to replace.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fully.
Yeah, perfect. Well,
Love
thank you,
it.
Molly, so much for being on the podcast. It was amazing speaking with you. Thank you so much for
Thank you. It's been so good to hang. I love it.